Football is back, baby. The Kansas City Chiefs kicked off training camp, regular training camp, not a mini camp, not a rookie training camp, not a quarterbacks and rookies camp, not a this, not a that, not a nothing. Training camp today, and we have some notes from social media to go over and maybe some implications for the season from this, the very first day that the team has appeared together. From Pete Sweeney, it appears the Chiefs have brought back Isaiah Gathings. We saw Garrett Prince in a walking boot last look. This is almost procedural at this point. I mean, what we're looking at here is maybe the fourth and fifth tight ends on the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think that it is always interesting to actually go over personnel changes for the Kansas City Chiefs. Isaiah Gathings was a guy that I thought had some potential. He was not a guy that is necessary. He's more, in my opinion, of an H-back than he is a tight end. He's a guy that has fluid movements, but maybe is more of an H-back than Garrett Prince is a tight end. I thought that Garrett Prince looked like he had actual potential at the tight end position, insofar as you were not hoping to make him an in-line blocker. Now, Isaiah Gathings did not really particularly get a chance with the Kansas City Chiefs. There was an article on him not too long ago. I was trying to pull it up. I cannot seem to find it, but maybe 4.67 40-yard dash, 36-inch vertical. In college, he had, in Middle Tennessee, 84 receptions, 861 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's a nice player. I don't know if he's an NFL player. So that is what it is. Perhaps we're starting on the wrong foot as far as the sensational goes, but there is some sensational to be had in this video. Starting here, a tweet from Adam Teicher. Kadarius Toney is working with the running backs as the Chiefs begin practice. This might be a fortuitous move for Adam Teicher. The one thing that I will say, however, on the negative side to this, and maybe it's not a negative, but it would seem that this is a bit of a last-ditch effort. I don't think that you take a guy who is Kadarius Toney, who was a former first-round pick. I don't think you take a guy that has that level of upside and move his positions as a good thing, especially when you're moving his position. You're moving him to a lower leverage position on the football field. You're moving a guy who is 6 feet tall, 193 pounds, to running back. Look, being a bit of a lighter guy, worked for Jamaal Charles, and certainly Kadarius Toney has Jamaal Charles type of speed, but I don't think that when you look at their builds, you looked at Jamaal Charles and said he can take a hit. I don't know if I feel that way about Kadarius Toney. Just as a reminder, Kadarius Toney, 4.37 40-yard dash, a 1.54 10-yard split. The 4.37 40-yard dash is elite. The 1.54 10-yard split is really good. A 4.23 20-yard shuttle. A 6.88 three-cone drill, 39.5-inch vertical, 11-foot 4-inch broad jump. He's an explosive guy. That much is for certain. I think that the move could work out for him because of his movement skills. I don't know how many tackles Kadarius Toney is breaking. I don't remember Kadarius Toney ever having a problem with fumbling. I remember Kadarius Toney having a problem with not catching. And I will say that at the running back position, taking the ball from the quarterback is something that can prove extremely problematic. If you have the wrong arm up, you're not getting that ball in your gut. You're bouncing that ball off of your bicep. So the mechanics of the position might be something that gives Kadarius Toney some type of halt. Although I imagine Kadarius Toney at some point in his football career has played running back, be it Pop Warner, be it middle school, be it high school. I imagine he has taken handoffs from a quarterback in a capacity more than just as a jet sweep. What does this mean for the Kansas City Chiefs offense? I think that there is some higher order stuff going on when you consider the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs, if Kadarius Toney can make himself into at least a threat at the running back position, right? Like, it's possible Kadarius Toney takes a handoff. If you can make that be the case, you now have a situation where the Kansas City Chiefs can go out on the field, 5 linemen, a quarterback. You have Kadarius Toney at running back. So 5 linemen, quarterback, Kadarius Toney at running back, Hollywood Brown at wide receiver, Xavier Brown at wide receiver, Mecole Hardman at wide receiver. That way, and then that's 10, and you have all the speed in the world on the field with a running back. Now, that 4.37 that Kadarius Toney runs, it's the same 40-yard dash that has Isaiah Pacheco. So, what are you really getting out of having him on the field? He's a lot more sudden than Isaiah Pacheco is Kadarius Toney. But it is an interesting thing with which to play if you find yourself calling plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. So is what it is. Moving on. This is something that we kind of knew was coming here. From Pete/Sweeney, Wanye Morris is getting the Chiefs' initial snaps at left tackle. Kingsley Suamataia is rotating in. So no news here, just confirmation that, we're going to have a left tackle battle, but confirmation that the nod is going to Wanye Morris as far as getting those first chances because of what he did last season for the Kansas City Chiefs. Also from Pete, in nickel, it looks like Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams outside, Chamari Connor inside. Again, not surprising or revelatory. Jalen Watson is injured right now, so that will get more interesting when Jalen Watson comes back, and we have a little bit of insight as far as who is the actual number 2 corner, and it might be Chamari Connor. I know that Chamari Connor is more of a defensive back. Chamari Connor is more of a safety. But when we look at last year and how the Kansas City Chiefs played defensive back, played cornerback, in particular, Trent McDuffie was the inside guy in that nickel package a lot, and he was the number 2 cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs. So in effect, it may be Chamari Connor. I don't think that is going to be the case, but with Chamari Connor, so there's a note later that is going to make this even more interesting for the Kansas City Chiefs. But keeping an eye on Chamari Connor being on the field early and often is something that is going to pay dividends as far as forecasting what the Chiefs are going to do on defense this year, in my opinion. From Nick Roche, Jared Wiley, getting first-team reps with Kelsey in the 2 tight end formations. I think we all saw this coming, right? I think that if you sit down and you actually watch what it was that Jared Wiley was doing in college, tight end is a funny position in the college football game. I think that it is sort of like the NFL in the early 2000s. Could Tony Gonzalez have been doing more than Tony Gonzalez was? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tony Gonzalez was underutilized even with as much as the Kansas City Chiefs utilized him. Why? Because it just wasn't developed in the NFL at that point in time. The college game is still sort of like that. So when you have someone who was putting up decent numbers at the college ranks, like Jared Wiley was, but not really standing out, not really being all-American type, not really impressing you with stats, it's easy to overlook that as a draft pick. I certainly did. I was not prepared for the Kansas City Chiefs to have drafted Jared Wiley, and I spent some time looking at tight ends in every draft leading up. I don't know if I'll spend much time looking at tight ends going into next year because I don't know if they're going to draft one, but I have spent some time looking into tight ends every mock draft I have done for the past 3 years, 4 years on this channel. Jared Wiley, again, probably not surprising, right? But one of the things that, especially with the first day of training camp, is interesting is seeing how the coaches feel about the depth chart. Wiley getting first-team reps with Kelsey in 2 tight end formations is telling. And it is telling because he doesn't have a single NFL reception. Noah Gray does. Noah Gray has 3 years of playing in the NFL. Jared Wiley, in my opinion, is coming into camp after rookie minicamp, after training camp with just the rookies and the quarterbacks, and has already impressed the coaching staff with the things that he can do physically. I think that is what's going on here. I think that is a tough pill to swallow for Noah Gray, but this is the NFL. I think that this is likely Noah Gray's final season in Kansas City. It will be the final of his 4-year rookie deal. Here's the interesting thing to me, and the reason I bring up Noah Gray when talking about this. The Kansas City Chiefs just lost, ostensibly, it looks like they just lost Gerrit Prince probably for an extended period of time. I don't know the rules on the PUP list as far as training camp is concerned. If a guy is in a boot, he gets 2 weeks that he is injured, it's like, okay, you're going to be down 2 weeks. Do the Kansas City Chiefs get to put him on a 2-week PUP list and sign another 90th man? Whatever the case, Gerrit Prince is probably your 5th tight end on the Kansas City Chiefs. And when he goes down, you bring in the 6th tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. It makes me wonder, the Kansas City Chiefs trying so hard to find depth at the tight end position when they have a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3 guy that in whom they probably have faith. Travis Kelce, obviously they do. You have to look at Jared Wiley and think that he has come in and impressed the coaches to this point. Noah Gray has 3 seasons of NFL productivity. For them to be bringing in a 6th name, or it might be 7th, I don't know the tight end depth chart just off the top of my head like that. It might be even worse than a 6th name. It makes me wonder if maybe Noah Gray is going to be shopped around. Why spend all of this time trying to find a 6th, a 7th tight end to have as a camp body when you know there are spots, left tackle, for example, running back, for example, where there are maybe needs much higher up on the depth chart? Is it likely that you go out and you find just in the trash bin, if you will, a guy who's going to come in and start at left tackle because he was a UDFA free agent out of Northwest Southeastern Missouri State? No, it's not very likely. I'm sure it's happened. There's also the fact that you have a left tackle training camp battle while Donovan Smith is still sitting out there, the guy who started last year. You have the money probably to sign him, and they haven't intimated a move in that direction so far, but it is very important for the Kansas City Chiefs to go out and find a 7th tight end for the camp body list. I don't know. That is that is a note that is deceptively interesting, in my opinion. Then we have from Ron Kopp, the incomparable Ron Kopp. With Justin Reed out, it looks like Jaden Hicks is working with the starting nickel defense in walkthroughs. Connor in the slot, Cook and Hicks as the safeties. This is the note to which I was sort of alluding earlier, talking about Shamari Connor in the slot. You have all of these cornerbacks who are probably NFL guys on the roster right now. I mean, I think you've got upwards of 9 guys at the cornerback position that are going to make actual plays on an NFL field playing for the Kansas City Chiefs right now. And the safety group is so good that in the nickel defense, you have a safety playing the slot corner position. The safeties are so good that with your starting safety out, Justin Reed, you still have enough safeties to have a safety playing the nickel cornerback role for the Kansas City Chiefs, a team with 93 cornerbacks who are going to be players in the NFL. This is interesting, and it is in light of L'Jarius Sneed being traded this offseason. The Kansas City Chiefs got a 3rd round and a 7th round, right? A 3rd round last season, a 7th round next season, if I'm remembering correctly. The Chiefs, therefore, have multiple stabs to get a player to contribute for the Kansas City Chiefs, right? That's what you're looking at. You're not going to replace L'Jarius Sneed, although L'Jarius Sneed himself was not a very high draft pick. But probably you're not going to replace L'Jarius Sneed. So you're looking at someone who can contribute. And you're hoping that the guys who are still on your roster take a step up. Well, guess what? It appears they have. The Kansas City Chiefs having 4 safety-type players who are able to step on the field, and at least at this early juncture in the NFL season, it looks like these 4 players are going to be starter-level safeties for the Kansas City Chiefs, is absolutely wild. When you follow this up with that next tweet there from Ron Kopp, Najee Johnson and Kelvin Joseph working as the second-team cornerbacks with Jalen Watson out. Now, I am on the record saying that I think Jalen Watson is actually a very quality NFL corner. I stand by that. I think Jalen Watson, when he comes back, is going to be the number 2 starting corner for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to be the other outside starting corner for the Kansas City Chiefs. That said, they seem to have a whole lot of faith in Joshua Williams as well, and rightfully so. He's played a whole lot for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here's the interesting things. Guys, that's 3 right there, right? Trent McDuffie, Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson. I think all 3 of those guys are starter-level cornerbacks in the NFL. Are they all number 1 guys? No, probably not. I think that Joshua Williams is it's interesting. I think Joshua Williams could be like the premier number 3 cornerback in the NFL. Is he a slot guy like most 3rd cornerbacks? No, probably not. So it's an interesting dynamic. But when you throw in, so that's 3 right there. We have Najee Johnson, who made all sorts of noise heading into last season's training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Looked on his way to make an actual impact on the Kansas City Chiefs in 2023, got injured. Season-ending injury. Sucks, right? But he was there, and now he's back. Kelvin Joseph. For anyone who doesn't know, Kelvin Joseph was a former 2nd-round pick for the Dallas Cowboys in 2021. 5'11" and a half, 6 foot, 197 pounds, 4.34 40-yard dash. That is elite. 1.44 10-yard split. That is elite. 35-inch vertical jump, 10-foot 8-inch broad jump. Not what you would be expecting to see from a guy who is running a 4.34 40-yard dash with a 1.44 10-yard split. But still, I mean, this is absolutely a guy who is at the utmost of what potential means in the NFL. Najee Johnson, by the way, ran It's hard to find because let me see if it's on Wikipedia now. It didn't used to be on Wikipedia, but they have gotten better as far as their sourcing and information is concerned. He did not run a 40-yard dash anywhere but at his pro. Yeah, here we go. They've got this updated on his Wikipedia now. 4.38 40-yard dash. Najee Johnson at 5'10 and 1/4, 199 pounds. So he's a little bit more stout than some of these guys. 4.38 40-yard dash, 1.52 10-yard split, 42-inch vertical leap, 10-foot 9-inch broad jump, and by the way, 16 reps on the bench press. So these guys are both, Najee Johnson and Kelvin Joseph, maybe not as tenured, maybe not as well, let me see I don't know what kind of stats Kelvin Joseph has. But he's been around the league because he washed out with the Cowboys. Okay, I'm having trouble finding that right now. But I don't think that he has had all that much playing time necessarily in the NFL. He's got experience, but as far as, he was drafted in the second round of 2021, I don't think he has the type of stats that you would imagine that guy would have. 39 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 4 pass deflections. So not terribly much going on there is in the stats department. 351 career defensive snaps. I believe both Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, I believe, have passed that number up in a single season. So both of these guys, Najee Johnson and Kelvin Joseph, are high-end potential players. If anybody's going to get the most out of them, it appears to be the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have been coaching up defensive backs for seasons now and getting the most out of them. So that's 5 right there. I think both Najee Johnson and Kelvin Joseph are legitimate NFL talents. Where you want to place them on a depth chart, it's going to be up to you, right? What are you valuing there for your defensive backs? Are you wanting guys down on the roster to be guys who have experience and playing time versus potential, or are you looking for the high upside guys and betting on yourselves to coach them up? That's what I believe the Kansas City Chiefs are doing, is they are betting on their coaching staff and execution to coach these guys up, instead of saying, okay, well, give me a guy who has 1,000 reps in the NFL. So just looking at this now, you have, I'm just going to list the cornerbacks here. Miles Battle. I think that's an NFL guy. I think he's going to start on the practice squad this season. Pardon me. I don't know why it blanked out for me. So I think that's a practice squad guy this year, but I think he's an NFL guy. Echo Boydo. There is a note later on for Echo Boydo. I think that's an NFL guy. Nick Jones looked decent at times last year. Kelvin Joseph, NFL guy. That's 4. Trent McDuffie, NFL guy. That's 5. DJ Miller, I think, is going to surprise some people. I don't know if he's an NFL guy. Christian Roland Wallace. I don't know. He had a draftable grade a lot of places. I don't know. Keith Taylor, not 100% sure. I think that's an NFL guy. But I'm not going to count it. Joshua Williams, NFL guy. So right there, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 NFL guys, in my opinion. Moving on to defensive back. Chamari Connor, listed as a defensive back. Kamal Haddon, we haven't seen anything from him yet, right? So there's a ton of guys here just at that one position. It might be worth keeping in the back of your mind that there might be a little bit of trade value to be eked out of the cornerback spot. Mac Derrick, I've got 3, 4. I've got a lot more notes here. Matt Derrick, Patrick Mahomes, and the pass catchers sizzling in 7-on-7. 2 big passes to Hollywood Brown, a sneaky skinny post to Travis Kelce, and a Madden-esque catch by Justin Ross with a tiptoe on the sidelines. Justin Ross also had one of those elevation catches that looks impossible. You know how sometimes you will see a highlight of an NFL dunk where a guy takes off and like halfway through the highlight, you're like, he ain't going to make it. And somehow he just levitates up. That's what we saw from Justin Ross again today as well. It's going to be interesting. The 5, 6, 7 wide receivers that the Kansas City Chiefs decide to keep. It's going to be interesting. Here's another thing. If you have that many wide receivers that are that interesting of prospects, why are you still bringing in tight ends? I just don't know. It's just interesting. I don't know where we're going with all of this. And I'm excited that over the next couple of weeks, we're going to get a whole lot more about it. Ron Kopp says, roll out left. Pat just did the screw it. Xavier Worthy down there somewhere. X hauled it in at the back of the end zone, probably a 60-yard bomb over Brian Cook's head. Yeah, okay, well, it's practice, and Patrick Mahomes is throwing 60-yard bombs. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? We just talked about how many defensive backs. I just spent 30 minutes talking about how many defensive backs the Kansas City Chiefs have who are NFL talents, who are NFL guys, who are going to be on NFL rosters for years to come. And Patrick Mahomes on this play, I'm sure you've seen it by now, is rolling against his throwing motion and just says, yeah, I'm just going to throw it out here, right? 60-yard bomb. Xavier Worthy makes the catch in the end zone, and all was good. That is all we have to. I'm sure you've seen that play 1,000 times by now. But Ron also goes on to say, McCole, Tony, and Remigio working as punt returners. Xavier Worthy watching behind. Was curious if LRZ would get a shot here. I am not sure what to make of the battle for punt returner. If I had my way this season, I would say just catch the ball. Fair catch the ball. Wave your arm, catch the ball. We'll take it from there. Eliminate risk. Remember the eliminate bad football sign that they used to slap on the way out to the field under Romeo Crennel? Eliminate the risk of dropping a punt. Who cares? Also, absent from all of this chatter, I did not see one tweet about Sky Moore. So that is what it is. I don't believe he was injured. So the final note that I have here, Echo Boydo. Echo Boydo just blanketed Justin Ross down the sideline, intercepted the ball from Oladokin. Now, this is Oladokin. He's not intercepting Patrick Mahomes. This is an interesting... I mean, guys, nowhere else on the internet besides this corner of YouTube, the Chiefs chat corner of YouTube, does anyone care about Echo Boydo covering Justin Ross on a pass from Chris Oladokin. But I guarantee you all of our channels were going to cover this. This is going to be an interesting battle. These players on this ranking for both of these positions going up against each other in practice is going to make the assessment very difficult. It's not the Chiefs have a lot of wide receivers. A lot of wide receivers that I think are NFL guys. I think Justin Ross is an NFL guy. I think last season, nothing went right for them. Kadarius Toney might be one of the putziest players in the NFL as far as catching the ball, but those are absolutely world-class movement skills. So covering that guy is not going to be easy. These two positions, cornerback and wide receiver for this team going up against each other over and over again is going to create, hopefully, iron sharpens iron, right? Hopefully, this creates the competition necessary for all of these players to get a little bit better. That is all I have on the notes from day one of the Kansas City Chiefs training camp. If you like what I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one, so be sure to hit that subscribe button.